What a beautiful morning it is here in Quito. It's 12 degrees, the sun is finally out. It's a vibrant city. It's just fun to be here this morning. I'm just wandering through town. I'm cutting through a park right now, trying to find my favorite coffee shop. And you know where that is? Buenos dias.
Yeah.
Today's video, I want to talk a little bit about what long-term travelers talk a lot about on the forums that I'm a member of, and that is health insurance. Last night, I went under the knife. That's correct. Now, before anyone panics, I had a tooth pulled. Now, I know a lot of people probably don't consider that surgery, but I do. I'm going to talk about the various aspects of what you have to do to safeguard your health while you are a long-term traveler. So if you're interested in that kind of topic, or if you have the mistaken idea that traveler's insurance is all you need, then stay tuned, because you might learn something. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that travel insurance by itself is not a good thing. Depending on what you're doing, where you're going, and how long you're going to be there, travel insurance might make a lot of sense for some people. Before you take a short trip, check with your own health insurance company and see if it covers you when you travel outside your home country. And most importantly, for how long will it cover you? The problem a lot of long-term travelers run into is that they buy travel insurance primarily because it's cheap. And it's cheap for a reason. It's short-term and it's not very comprehensive. It covers mainly emergency type treatments. Some may even cover an evacuation. They'll take you from where you are back to your home country. But if you're going to be gone or traveling for a long time away from your home country, travel insurance is not a good choice. You need to actually look into health insurance, the same kind that you would have at home. Now, depending on the kind of insurance you have at home, it might cover you outside your home country. Mine doesn't, and a lot of people I know that I've worked with, theirs doesn't. Or if it does, it's very short-term, emergency type coverage. But it's not coverage that you can depend on for the long term. So if you're going to travel long term outside your home country, then you're probably going to need a separate insurance policy that covers, it gives you the same coverage or close to it that you have with the coverage you get from your home country policy. This is a complicated thing, and I am not an insurance expert, so I would check with somebody that actually knows insurance and ask these questions. Lots of times the people that buy this kind of insurance are not sure of the kinds of questions they should be asking, which causes all kinds of problems down the line if you do need to use your coverage. In my own case, I'm retired. So in the United States, that's where I'm from, I'm covered by Medicare, which is a national health care scheme. But Medicare does not cover you outside of the United States. So when I do long-term travel, which I've been doing since 2013, I've had to carry my own health insurance policy in addition to what I had back in the United States. Here's how it works. When I lived and worked in Malaysia from 2014 to 2019, I had a personal health insurance policy, which I paid for myself. It covered me everywhere in the world except for in the United States. Now, the reason for that, of course, is that insurance or medical prices in the United States are very, very high. So if I wanted to get a policy that covered me in the US and the rest of the world, it would have cost me a fortune. Well, let's put it this way, a lot more than I was willing to pay. I bought a policy that covered me outside the United States. Anytime I went home for a couple weeks or a month or so, I would have to buy what the insurance policy called a supplement, and would cover me for a short period of time while I was home. When I retired and got on Medicare, I didn't need to buy an insurance policy in the United States. But since Medicare doesn't cover anyone outside the United States, I still needed to have my own personal health care policy, which of course was good for anywhere in the world except the US. It cost me about $4,000 US each year for a health care policy to cover me outside the US. Now, if you compare that, if you're a US citizen, you can compare that to what a normal annual cost for health care insurance is, and you'll find that that's really a bargain in most cases. For somebody my age, that is. Someone much younger could find a lower cost. This gives me the sustenance I need to get back to the house. So here's my pulled tooth story. On Friday, today's Wednesday, by the way, just so you have an idea of the time span. On Friday, I chipped a tooth. This was a tooth that had had a root canal about, I don't know, I say 25 years ago. And it held up pretty good for 25 years. And then Friday, when I chipped it, I realized it had reached its use-by date. And no matter what happened to it, it was probably going to have to be removed. On Saturday, that's when it started hurting. And that's what tipped me off to something was wrong. So I tried aspirin thinking that maybe this would stop. It would sort of heal itself. But on Sunday, no. The pain persisted and was in fact getting worse. Sunday afternoon, I decided that I was going to have to see a dentist on Monday. Nothing was open on Sunday, so the best I could do would be Monday. So I started researching dentists or dental clinics and found one that was close by. It was about a 3-kilometer walk. So on Monday morning, I set out early. I wanted to get there as soon as they opened so that if I didn't have an appointment, so I wanted to sort of beat the crowd of people that did have appointments and maybe they could take care of me, just because it was, I would say it was an emergency. Anyway, at the end of the 3-kilometer walk, I found the dental clinic and discovered that the doctor is only there on Wednesdays. So it actually is it's a neighborhood clinic. It doesn't offer full services. The doctor was only there on Wednesday. So I decided to go back to the house and try again, look for another dentist, hopefully one that was close by. On my way back, I passed a pharmacy, and I knew that one way or another I was going to need antibiotics. So I thought, I've never bought antibiotics without a prescription, but in the United States you can't do that. But in Ecuador, I wasn't sure, so I went in, gave it a try, and sure enough, the pharmacist sold me a 7-day course of amoxicillin, which I knew from previous experience was an antibiotic used for dental or jaw infections. So I knew I was getting the right drug. I didn't know anything about the dosage. And the pharmacist also gave me 5 pain pills, which she instructed me vociferously several times and in 2 different languages. I take 1 a day for 5 days. After that, Advil. I guess that was the way that I was learning that there were no refills on the pain pills. The total cost of that was about $25. It was $18 for the antibiotics and $7 for the 5 pain pills. So I did find a dentist. In fact, the dentist was only a few hundred meters from where I was living. And I went in there, made an appointment. He looked at it and confirmed my fears that yes, it would have to be removed. The tooth would have to be extracted. And I made an appointment to come back the next night at 7 p.m. That was last night. I went in, he did an x-ray, found out that yes, the tooth was infected, yes, it was not repairable, and the extraction proceeded immediately after that. I guess in medical terms I should call it a procedure, but he's yanking my tooth out. I don't care what you call it. So he did that. I was in the office probably for a total 30 minutes. And the longest time, of course, was the amount of time it took for the anesthetic, the lidocaine shots to take effect. So he pulled the tooth out, and I found out that the cost for this entire operation, or the entire procedure, was $75 US. And as you recall from another video, here in Ecuador, we use US dollar as the official currency. So the entire adventure cost me about $102 to get the antibiotics, the pain medicine, and the dental care. Anyway, that was my adventure recently with the medical profession. I did have an adventure one time in Malaysia where I needed to have surgery on my wrist. It was this one. I had a bicycle accident and needed to have a plate inserted in my wrist. And in both countries, Malaysia and Ecuador, I found the facilities and the training and I guess you would say the ambiance of the entire experience equal to what I would expect to find somewhere back in the US. So that's my story about my going under the knife recently and why I have a global health insurance policy. My own policy is with a company called Cigna. It's based in London, but I mean, there are a lot of them that will sell you insurance policies like that. This street crossing ramp is the closest thing I'm going to get to a drone shot here. I haven't seen many of these here in Quito. In Kuala Lumpur, they have quite a few of them. The streets are too busy to actually risk your life crossing without them. This one has a spiral leading up to it. I guess it's mainly for people that either can't walk on steps or people who are riding a bicycle. It's convenient for both of those. It does make the trip a little longer though. That's pretty much the complete story of my brush with the medical institutions here in Ecuador. So far it's only dental. But I hope it underlines the reason why health insurance is more important than travel insurance. A lot of people think they're the same thing and they're not. Of course, once again, I'm not an expert. I'm not done wandering the streets of Quito today. It's such a nice day. It's cool. It's a little bit breezy. And the sun is so bright it hurts your eyes. So I'm going to probably continue my walk. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Hey folks, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe by clicking my face over there on the left. That's it for today. I'll show myself out.